I've got something very special here today. This is a TRC-975 by Lasonic. We're going to take it apart, try and fix some things. I have no idea what I'm doing. But she's got some problems, and we're going to give it a shot. So, let's get to it. Uh-oh. Let's dive into a little bit of history on this Lasonic TRC-975. They're produced from 88 to 89, and a few years after, they weren't really the greatest quality in build. There's the plastic bows a lot. Their other competitors, JVC and Canyon, I believe is how it's said. Did do a little bit more robust of a build. So that being said, a couple of switches and some of the buttons are a little bit funky, but this particular unit has a problem with the cassette tapes and with the volume knob. What we're going to work on today is we're going to work on changing out the PCB for the volume knob. Before I decided to start doing YouTube, I actually already took apart the potentiometer in this volume component and tried to clean it, and it didn't change a single thing. However, I am still led to believe that it's the volume potentiometer that is the issue, due to the fact that the 10-band EQ is only partially functional, mainly on this side, and this side is significantly quieter than this channel here. That would lead me to believe that the potentiometer is malfunctioning. This unit actually came to me for a bit of a discount because of its problems. However, in the cleaning process, which I'll film later on with other boomboxes, again, decided to do YouTube post cleaning and all that other stuff, I found out that all the original plastic covering the protectant film was actually on this entire thing. So this thing is actually really, really decent condition. One of the antennas is missing, and the battery cover box is broken. At least just the cover for the box. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. So we are going to take it apart. We're going to fix the volume potentiometer. Then we're going to do something kind of cool. We're going to go ahead and add Bluetooth to it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I have no idea. Never done it before. Should work. Is it going to work? No clue. That's why it's full send fixes here, because we're going to put it full send. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, I guess I got a broken boombox. So we're going to put some Bluetooth in here. We're going to make it a little bit more of a futuristic 80s boombox. We do have some future projects. This guy right here, which we'll talk about in another video. And we're going to go to my trusty JVC, of which I rebuilt like 4 years ago. We do need to fix some stuff on that, so that'll be in a future video as well. But let's tear down into this thing. I'll show you the rear real quick. We got a line in so that I can show you guys what the audio function's doing. But we're going to rip into this thing here in just a second. Alright, so we're going to power on. Oh, forgot. This one has an AC-DC switch for anybody who ends up getting one. So there's an AC-DC switch in the back. No, not the band. Just the power switch. Dumb joke. Alright, moving on. So, we have the power on. You can see that the visual EQ is now lit up. The visual EQ is awesome. That was probably actually one of the main reasons that this box is so sought after. They're not super rare, but people want this kind of, specifically this box, because of, I assume, the visual EQ, the visual aesthetic. This was kind of big in hip-hop in the 90s. This particular box was in a lot of music videos, and it was a huge competitor on the market. But, so, as I turn it to completion on the full volume max side, you can hear all the grittiness, right? Again, cleaned potentiometer. So all those of you in the comments are going to say, you didn't clean the fucking potentiometer. No, I cleaned the fucking potentiometer, okay? So, potentiometer, clean, and we have all this grittiness, okay? Now, problems with the buttons. We hit that. Those are the problems, okay? So we got a lot to fix down here. But, to be fair, the potentiometer may actually fix some of that stuff, because these are a little bit in the related circles. I did notice that this channel would kick in and out sometimes. No, it's not the amp board. The The board is clean. Checked it already once. But the when you add a little bit of extra power to these boys by tapping these buttons and causing a little bit of a spike in the system, which very well could be a capacitor at this end, it actually brought back that speaker. So tap back to CD. It's nice and quiet now. I'll play a little tune for you guys so that way you can see what's going on. You can see that it powers up. It's connected to my phone. That part's easy. I mean, yeah, it technically has Bluetooth now, but we're still tethered by wires, so we're going to change that part of it. Play a little song that I actually made here. So, you see how that volume cuts right there? Problematic. Okay. Now, I'm going to unplug this channel, and you're going to see how much quieter it gets in this room. I know you can't really tell what it sounds like due to a microphone, but significantly quieter. Way quieter. So, even if we turn this bad boy up, does nothing. Makes a little bit of weird noise, cuts this channel in for some reason. Shouldn't do that. Now we turn it down, and for some reason, this channel's on now. Makes no sense. But potentiometers do work by dragging their fingers across essentially a graphite piece. And if any of the ohms, any of the resistance is bad, it can't tell the board what to do properly, so the board's going to start sending signals in places it just shouldn't be going. So we do have a little bit of volume on the upside of that, but it's still significantly louder over here if I go and plug this back in. See? So we do have our work cut out for us, I will say. You can see the visual EQ works pretty well, which is great. I was really hoping not to replace that, and I was really hoping that it should function just because it is a nice piece. It's a great add-on to this box, and again, one of the reasons why it's probably sought after. So let's get into this thing. Let's take it apart. Let's crack her open, see what's inside, and fix it. So here we are at the back of this thing. Like I said, the battery tray is missing a clip here, and there's also a broken little latch down here. So she needs a little bit of work there. I'm not really sure what we're going to do about that, because replacing the part's fine. You know, you can usually find replacement parts from donor boxes, but I would say that the issue with that is the little latch underneath, which kind of like seats it in right here, up underneath here, and then allows it to latch in completely. So right now I just have some scotch tape for the batteries to not fall out. There we go. So there's our 10 D-cell batteries. Gotta love the 80s. We're gonna pop these boys out real quick. I'm gonna set them off to the side. We're gonna start taking out screws. I'm gonna show you screw locations real quick. First screw location there. But let's get cracking on taking some screws out here. Let's go for the center. All right. Now, I use screwdrivers for these kind of projects due to the fact that I don't want to break any of the plastic posts in there. I have had to fix those before. It's not like the end of the world like some people might think. However, I'd prefer not to fix them because it is a pain in the ass. So let's go ahead and just be gentle with her and take out some screws here. Sometimes they won't come all the way out, but you know, I'm not gonna make you guys sit through all this, so why don't we just go like this? Alright, now that those screws are out, we can just kind of jimmy the back off here. Didn't like that noise I just heard. It sounded like something fell inside. That's never great. Some of these screws can kind of get stuck. They do usually stay seated in their wells after you've unscrewed them, which kind of makes it a pain in the butt sometimes because they like to catch some of their teeth on the way out. There we go. Look at that. So there are a couple power leads here. They actually go... Oh, you know what? The most important one to get off first is the FM antenna here. It's a yellow wire. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's a yellow wire right here. We're gonna just pull at the top of that just like that. And she pops right off, no big deal. Next one you have is your electrical leads. If you do forget the orientation, don't worry. If you look on the board, there's actually a ground and positive. It will say G next to the ground. So we're just going to go ahead and gently tug on those. We do not want to break the main board. That would be really, really bad. There you go. There's your power transformer and the board that controls the AC to DC movements. I'm not sure if that cap is original. I feel like it wouldn't be, but I don't know. I have seen companies do some wild stuff sometimes, so it might very well be original. I'm not sure. Okay. Now that I've set that to the side, where we're looking right now, first off, it says electrical shock warning, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there's a chance that one of these capacitors could zap you pretty good. They do that. They hold on to charge. So technically speaking, if you wanted to discharge it, you could just take the positive and negative on the board here and just tap it a couple times until all the energy is discharged, because there's not really enough in these to ruin the board. You know, basically, essentially, you're just grounding out that energy. So, but typically, I've never been shocked myself. I've opened these things plenty of times. But where we're looking here, it's right here. This is the board we're after, and I do actually have a replacement board that I ordered from eBay, where somebody was parting out one of these bad boys. This is the same board right here. You can see all that old grit and flux on there. Actually, they really didn't clean up very much flux at all on most of these boards. You can kind of see some of the grime and goopiness in there, but yeah, this is the potentiometer stack, and it's oriented this way. What's interesting to me, though, is this is clearly a different date of board, and the reason I say that is the stamps that these have on the back, comparatively, they're a little bit different. Basically, there's no sticker here. On these ones, there's stickers. And also, the capacitor stacked directly behind the volume knob is slightly different. This one looks actually a little bit more well put together, to be honest with you. You can see that these capacitors aren't really kind of sagging or doing anything weird. The other part of that is these resistors here actually look like they're on the board nicely. These ones are kind of all over the place. So I don't know if maybe later on they got a different manufacturer who made these and just made them cheaper and which, I mean, honestly, all big companies eventually do that. So we have one cable going out to the headphone jack board with the headphone jack, the mic, the tape speed, and all that. We have another wire, this yellow wire, going directly into our main board here, and those kind of things concern me when it comes to soldering and desoldering. I don't really mind if I really had to, but to be honest with you, I'd rather just splice a little bit. Probably just take half and splice in, so I don't mess with the boards too much, just because I don't want to damage anything by mistake. These are just a little bit different. They're not, so 100K, 50K, 50K, this is the lineup here. So this is 100K, this is your balance, this is a 50K, which is your main, and then the mic in is also a 50K. Now, what 50K means is it's basically just your resistance rating for that potentiometer. And yeah, these ones just look a little bit different. I mean, they're the same. It's the same ratings, all that stuff. It's just, again, I don't know. Maybe they made this one a little bit more robust, or maybe it's worse. I don't really know. I don't even know. I know that some of these boxes, if you looked at the front where the ports on the mic and the headphone, they were red and blue on some of them. This one's black. And yeah, it is a real one. It's just, I don't know why they changed some of that stuff up, and I assume that this is part of that change. But this should work nonetheless. It looks like all of our soldered connections are good. I say that questioningly because of this soldered connection right here. I don't know if you see that little guy. It doesn't look super sturdy. It feels sturdy enough, but it doesn't look great. We'll give it a shot. I mean, if it's not, I can always go back in and hit it real quick. So we're gonna go ahead and just splice wiring in. But I'm gonna take this guy out real quick. There are 3 screws, 1, 2, and a third back here. Be careful with this one. You're right next to the FM coil. Definitely don't do any of this stuff powered up until you're ready to do it powered up, because we're gonna test stuff just like this. But we got 1 screw, 2 screw, 3 screw, and they all are on these mounts that are actually removable. So be careful when you're taking them out. You don't want to lose a mount. You don't want to lose a screw in here, especially a screw, because you know, if you don't find it, you just say, ah, screw it, whatever, fuck it. There's a good chance that when you're moving this box around, especially if you have the power on, it's going to make contact between 2 places you really don't want it to. This right here is our visual EQ. I thought that was kind of neat. They basically did like a chrome housing up top and then the LED circuit at the bottom to give it kind of that X look that you saw earlier. It's more of a mirror effect than an actual X, so that's kind of neat. It's an optical effect. Okay, easy now. Alright, so we got 2 of the 3 out. We're gonna get this third out here. Easy now. Easy girl. Whoa there. Whoa. Oh, I'm stupid. I forgot to take off the knobs, but that's okay. They just pop off real easy, like right off. No big deal. Could have been a big deal, but it wasn't a big deal. They're all the same, so you don't really have to remember where you got each one from. That's not a big deal. And there's that removable clamp that I was telling you about. It holds the chip in between. The only one you really have to remember where it like holds is this one, and that's the center support, and that's because it holds on the second one. The other ones hold on the first. So the other 2 are the same. This one's the only different one. Okay, we have our board. Definitely the same board, a little different at these teeth at the bottom, but not by much. The soldering is a little bit smaller and cleaner and more concise here, whereas you see these big solder goops here. It looks like these teeth definitely got soldered with less care. Let's actually clean this one up first before we put it in, just so it looks nice and pretty like all these other boards, because I think this one's an earlier model board here, and I prefer my stuff to be clean when it's done. So this is just some isopropyl. It's 91%. Again, don't do this if there's any power to any of your boards, because even though it's rubbing alcohol, there is, in theory, some water in it, right? It's 91% rubbing alcohol, so for the most part, it'll do just fine. But there is a little bit of water in rubbing alcohol, and that could lead to some problems if you're cleaning something while it's powered on, or even while it has power to it. So my suggestion would be to unplug it, take the batteries out, do all that good stuff, make sure she's not got any power to her whatsoever. Yeah, you see how nice that's already cleaning up? I'm not saying we're going to get all this gunk off, but it'd be good to have most of that off of there before we install it. I may even hit these potentiometers with a little bit of deoxit first, just as a pre-measure, so that way I don't have to take the board out and do it again. The one thing I don't want to do is open these potentiometers currently. If I have to, I will, but might be able to squeeze some deoxit in there. I'm not entirely sure. To be fair though, most of the time you can actually get gunk to break up by just spinning the knobs over and over and over again. But there is a little, shouldn't sound like super crispy. You can usually hear a little bit of buildup in there, and deoxit's just a really good deoxidation tool specific to that of electronics. It's also a lubricant, so I actually use Deoxit Fader F5, which is specific to faders and potentiometers and kind of anything of the sort. You can kind of hear it's just a little bit crunchy and dry on the inside. The only reason I don't really want to open up this potentiometer is because if you see these little feet right here, these are what hold this metal plate on, and then underneath that is the teeth. And I don't want to open it because you can almost like never get this thing perfectly back on. As a matter of fact, probably on this board you can kind of see that right here where this is just a little bit, oh wait, I'm sorry, where this is just a little bit loose. You see how that's moving around a little bit. And don't get me wrong, that's not going to give it any major connectivity issues, especially considering she was showing signs of those connectivity issues before I pulled that thing off. But that makes me want to pull this one off even less, just in case we don't have those problems. So if we do, that's going to suck though, because I'm going to put this board in, and then this board is going to say, well, no, you have problems. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. I don't know why they got to wrap these cans in such thick plastic, boy. Holy shit. It's like they're protecting the secret of fucking Narnia in here. And all the secret is canned air and app. Okay, there we go. Canned air acquired. Fuck's sake. All of 20 minutes later. Son of a bitch. Alright, let's see if this stupid nozzle will go in here the way it's supposed to. These usually just shoot out for fun. Don't know why. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and... Yeah, just like that. Dust that. Maybe even dust some of these boards while we're in here. Actually, you know what? We're not even going to dust those. Really, she ain't too bad. It makes sense where the dust is. It's sitting right at the bottom. Right where you would expect it, I guess, right? Alright, we got that dusted off nicely. Let's continue cleaning it up a little bit. This is basically all just flux left over from the manufacturing process. Super, super typical in high production number things, especially back in the 80s, 70s eras. Seems like they just didn't want to make their boards nice. See, now we can actually see our lettering for our channels: right, ground, left, left, ground, right. So, and this would be to the amp, and this one would be to the 10-band EQ. Interesting that they kind of separated those at this board. I would have thought they would have separated that after the amp. It doesn't matter. Either way, let's get clipping. You know, let's clip some boards out. See what happens. We got the yellow wire here. I'm gonna go ahead and clip that with enough room on it to work. Here in the middle. Whew. Oh no, I don't like that. All right, now we just have the final wire going to the amplifier, and that is the red wire. I'm gonna move it a little bit out of the way because the red wire gets tucked up underneath a bunch of stuff, so I want it to be not tucked up under stuff. Okay. Oh, we have a blue wire. I forgot about the blue. Okay, this is our old board. I did notice that there is a little bit of what looks like a possible burn right here on this capacitor. I'm guessing that they help with the output frequency of this guy to tell things to do stuff, and it was acting like the output frequency was a little messed up, so this may very well be a problem. If you look at a direct comparison between these two, you see what I'm saying about those, specifically these resistors just are better in there on the one I got from eBay than this one currently. Looks like some of the same markings. Looks like possibly the same company produced both PCBs, because we got the same C logo here. I don't see an E on this one. This is the old one that we're cutting out. This is the new one. Everything else looks exactly the same. R942, R942. Oh, I'm wrong. That's R946. Okay, so yeah, everything's the same. Again, these resistors are just hanging on in there like some fucking asshole just went to work and said, yeah, f it, whatever, just put it in there. Let's put this bad boy in and see how she does. There's our red cable. There's our blue cable. And then our brown cable. Where's our brown cable? Brown cable. And then we have our yellow cable up top. Okay. We're going to begin by snipping the ends off here, just so we can get some clean ends to work with. 1, 2, and then these guys have what looks to be clean ends. I don't know if my wire strippers are going to take care of this necessarily in an easy way. Also, I did forget to mention that before we solder everything in, we're going to test all of our connections first. Oh yeah, that just ripped the cable, nice. Alright, we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. They put the ground wrapped around both positives, which, you know, only makes everything so much easier, you know? That makes these wires super duper tiny, and they break for like no reason. So essentially, when you're splitting them and getting them opened up, it's kind of sucks. We did okay with that white one. Yeah, we didn't do too bad with that. Good. Now, it all rests on the red one now, because if we accidentally take off too much of that red one, you can see that there's really not that much wire to connect to. And again, we're doing a test before we solder, so I need to make sure that these are long enough to like kind of twist together before we solder everything, to make sure that everything works. See, we messed up the red. This is like one strand of wire. We're gonna go again, and hopefully round 2 is better. I would put them on the wire stripper, but I think, I'm almost positive that the wire stripper, you know what, we'll try just an end and see what happens. I'm almost positive that the wire stripper is just gonna either ruin it or not. No, you know what? You know what? It worked. Sometimes I think poorly of wire strippers. Sometimes I think poorly of strippers, and then I remember they're just trying to pay off college tuition. I'm sorry, they're just trying to strip the wire the way you want them to. Oh, no, you know what? It did. It took a bunch of wire with it. There we go. That should be enough right there. I'm sure we're missing a couple strands. It's almost impossible to get every one of them out of here. So I actually got these two good to go, ready to roll. Looks really, really, really tiny. Can't even focus in on that. That is because it is really tiny. And it's a pain in the butt. Red one's gonna be the exact same. The hardest part is gonna be stripping the ones on the board. Obviously the blue and the yellow are gonna be really non-problematic. We'll actually just fish the yellow out right here through this opening in the board that holds that wire down. And there's your yellow. Blue right here, we'll just use the wire strippers. Super simple. The brown, however, which is over here, considering I've had to use a different technique, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. And then the red, I guess we could fish the red out here just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Fish the red out, so that's fine. We can do the red, but the brown is gonna be a pain in the ass. You know what? You know what? We just undid this little clampy poo here, and now the brown's not such a hard pain in the ass. By the way, kids, it's not ideal to use your teeth to strip wires. I will say it works sometimes, though. Especially for wires like these, like we were talking about, just kind of don't strip very well on the wire strippers. They really don't do well with knives. So if you're thinking, oh, well, John Carlo, why don't you use a carpenter's knife? Well, that's because they don't work with these wires. Because again, they're tiny, and the sheathing is tiny. I will show you that it works pretty well. So we got almost all 6 of the wires we need on this end. That's close. That's really close. I don't like it. Alright, well, I'm not taking any more of that off just in case. But just keep taking more and more off, and it seems to be just repeating the same principles here. Look at that little lead. It's a shit lead to try and test, I tell you what. I'll just use some tape and see how it goes. These ones I think should work well with the strippers. If you don't have a pair of these wire strippers, you should get some, but they're just Walmart, you know. 20 bucks or whatever, get you pretty good wire strippers. Yeah, there you go. See, no big deal. These are interesting cables. Are they braided? Let's find out with this guy. Maybe this one's also like that, and it is indeed a cable instead of just an antenna cable. But antenna cable is usually solid. No, this one's the same. So interesting. Some interesting cables that they chose here. Now we got to strip the other side, and then we'll be ready to pop this guy in. We got to be really careful when we test these bad boys. Okay, got these boys stripped. We got this one, the blue, and the yellow. I'm gonna go ahead and rig these guys together, and again, just for a test. We're not looking for perfection at the moment. So basically, I'm just gonna take these wires. We'll probably have to redo the wire strip again, just to make sure. I do have actually some electrical tape, so I think I'm gonna use that, because I don't want to fry anything in this system. Red and the brown are gonna be just the most fun here. We'll start with the red, I guess. What do I need for testing? Okay, let me see if this thing will power on. It said it was about to be dead. Not the box, the little unified Bluetooth thingy. Alright, now I gotta lift her up gently, and with great pissing my pants. With great power comes great responsibility. Okay, and see, we have a hum, which is normal. This thing is not held down. Always sketches me out. We need to play my song here. Oh, I think we have equal volume. Oh no, what happened? Oh, that stupid Unify thing died. Alright, either way, that was a great test. I heard both sounds equally coming out from both sides. So that means this board is indeed going to fix our issue. Let's unplug the power source here. And then I need to get some tools prepared to get... Easy now. Okay. I need to get some tools prepared, including my soldering iron, so that way we can get this board fully in there, and then we'll move on to the FM antenna that's broken. I'm going to get the solder gun, we're going to get this board in, and then we're going to get that antenna fixed, and then we'll talk about next video where I do the Bluetooth install. Okay, so now we're soldering the connection here, and yes, I'm in my rolly chair, apologize for the noise. So basically I put this towel in here just to make sure no solder drips on any of the boards, you know, because I don't want any meltage or like connections getting messed up from that, so, because it happens. Looks like a good solder joint. Feels like a good solder joint. Sorry about the extra noise here. I'll go ahead and continue here. We got the white cable. Next is going to be the red. Hopefully straightforward here. It'd be great if these next few cables are just straightforward. This cable we're going to run through the bottom here. That one also went smoothly. So we're almost at testing phase here. Now we can get rid of this little doohickey down here. We're almost at testing phase here though. Yeah, see, there's a little wire hold down right here that holds a bunch of these wires down. I don't know why this black one. Oh, that's different. That's a different kind of wire. Alright, well, I vaguely f***ed up, I guess, by running this over that, so I guess we're not going to put that wire down. It seems to me like a screw's missing, but what do I know? This wire, on the other hand, we're going to definitely hold down with that wire hold down clamp doodad, doohickey. This guy, I think we might be able to zip tie to a board or something. Okay, I need to get a lighter. We are going to shrink this tubing, and then we're going to put that board in, and then we'll give our old test route. Yes, burn me so good, Daddy. Oh my God, holy fuck. Okay, anyway. Next one, up yonder. This one I'm going to have to hold in place, which it just should be so good. It only burns a lot. It's fine. My hands are fine. Okay. Okay, now comes moments of truth. Let's hear. I need those clamps. We're going to start with the center one, because that's the most pain in the ass, in my opinion. So we need to put the middle one in. The unfortunate one, well, I guess the unfortunate thing, excuse me, about the middle one is that you kind of have to put it in the chip before you put it in the box. And the reason that's unfortunate is because you just have to be super duper careful about not losing this guy in there. So you got to put it in. And remember, I told you, this is the only one that sat in a different spot. So where this one sits is actually on the second notch in, not the first notch in. The center clamp is in. Some of these wires out of the way. Like I said, new wire placement is a little funny. I guess it makes sense as to why they put the wires where they did, huh? They went through this inner channel here, and it was just way harder to get to for soldering and for stripping those wires. So I made the executive decision that those wire locations were going to change. Alright, see, and sliding that one in is not super difficult. Again, what's making this difficult is new wire locations, so. You know what, we're going to try the other side first, because that one's driving me nuts. And, it's kind of hard when you're trying to, like, align a screw and not, like, accidentally run it off the so-called cliff here and make it hit something it's not supposed to, you know? See, the nice part is, where I ran these cables right now, there's just, it's not really, they're not in the way of anything, which is good. I was a little concerned about that. I mean, they're in the way of me putting this screw back in, but otherwise, fuck. Of that, no, never mind. Never mind, it did. It slid in. We're good. Give me just a sec here. Okay. Same order as before. We're gonna shut this guy off now because we're at no risk of dying or lighting anything on fire. At least as far as I know. You never know. It's always possible, I suppose. Let's see here. Like we talked about before, the negative goes in the center here, in the farthest pin, and the positive goes in the closest pin. And now we're gonna go ahead and plug her in, and hopefully nothing crazy happens at the moment. Nope, that's good. We are gonna need to set the box up a little bit for this, so hopefully we can pick her up and maneuver around some stuff here. Oh shit. Let's not do anything crazy, guys. Let's not do anything crazy. I would have picked it up by the handle. However, the handle detaches when the bag's not on. The bag is actually what holds it in place. So let's power on. Let's power this bad boy on. And see what we've got.
Are you gonna come my way? I know a place where we can go. No need to be afraid. I know you feel the same. Daddy, are you gonna come my way? I know you feel the same.
It seems like we're doing okay. Okay, so from what I can tell, the visual EQ is now dead. But we do have better sound, so I gotta figure out what happened with the blue wire connection, I believe. So the visual EQ works for some stuff, but for some reason is now no longer working for other stuff. And I'm kind of curious as to whether or not that's because the tape deck goes directly into the EQ. And everything else has to run through the volume knob, maybe? Not really sure. There's a lot of good questions that I don't know the answer to. Alright, so I got some things I gotta look at here. I'll get back to you all here in a second. Oh, never mind. The visual EQ is actually just working exactly what it's supposed to. Mint. So we did great here. We have a working volume knob now. We don't have a working balance. I'm not extremely worried about that, to be honest with you. I'm not looking to go from left to right super often, so that should be good. I don't know that our 10 band works. I'm gonna fiddle with that some more after it's all put back together. I know that sounds stupid, but I don't think it's external anymore. I did already clean all those contacts, so I don't really know where to go from there. I'm gonna look at everything on it real quick. I think all the connections are fine, but you never know. Let's zip tie the cables down that we gotta zip tied down real quick up in here, and make sure that everything's all neat and tidy, so that way nothing goofy happens in here. By the way, this would be the 7 band, and I can see that all the connections are stable as far as I can see here. Yeah, negative, left, right, yeah, everything's stable there, so I don't really know where the disconnect is, and this brown wire directly goes, it says left out. See what I'm saying? This one says left out. It's weird because this goes in though. So I guess maybe if that brown cable goes out to the main here and comes in, that's probably why our balance is bad, is because more than likely the 10 band isn't communicating where it needs to, and that's probably a different board failure, because our gray cable goes up to the main board here, and that's the 3 cable out, or maybe in. I'm guessing that's the 3 cable in. Yeah, this is the 3 cable in, so this gray cable goes from the main board into this, which then does its 10 band EQ shit and sends the signal out to this, which makes sense, but it's still not functioning. There's a good chance I'm not going to look heavily into that if I can't get it to work. Reason being is I'm not a fucking tech genius, and I am happy with a boombox that just does full channel volume instead of half-assing channel volume. So, and that's kind of where we were at before, is that it was kind of just ditzing around with channel volume. So we got the wires all done up. Okay, I'm gonna move the main box out of the way real quick, so that way we can take a look at this antenna. Okay, so what it looks like, I don't know why there's glue on this one. So yeah, I told you, I told you it wouldn't be simple. But what it looks like is just essentially a screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver. Holds these guys in here. If there wasn't glue on this one, it'd be really easy to take off. But, like I was telling you a second ago in the video, nothing's ever as fucking simple as it should be. That's what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know that I have the right stem size for the replacements that I got. Look at all that glue. Who the fuck kind of shit? Well, maybe that's manufactured. It's pretty brown. Might be manufacturer glue. Either way, that's still fucking stupid. Okay, so we're gonna pull this guy out here. Take a look at it. It's a pretty deep stem, but we can maybe reuse the stem here. As you can see, there's another screw there, and that's pretty helpful. So we're gonna try and reuse this stem and see how that goes. All right, so we're gonna pop this broken piece out. Excuse my reach, guys. Here we go. Some washers in there. Probably want to save those, but I don't know if I can get them to go back in there. Okay, so we got that broken piece out right there, and I'm gonna go on this side of the camera. We got a couple of different options here. Let's see here. So this piece comes out. Let's see which one matches this the best. We have this one, which is a thicker stem, or this one, which is a thinner but longer stem. That's what she said. Let's see what this looks like, though. I don't know if this one's thicker or thinner. Thinner and longer stem is what this guy looks like here, so we're probably going to go with that. We're going to go with these guys here. And these guys luckily have a Phillips head screw right there as well. Looks like about the same pitch. Should look good. Once again, purists would be like, oh, why don't you gonna use the original? And shut up. Shut up. And if you think I'm wrong and you're not a purist and you just happen to be somebody watching this video and want to pick that particular bone, let me know in the comments below. I don't... How much thicker is that? Well, same thickness. She just don't want to go in. See? It looks... Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh, snap. We're going to have a working antenna here shortly, ladies and gents. That'll be fantastic. Be a whole antenna then, instead of a partial antenna. That'd be great. I hate it when these things only have one antenna when they're supposed to have two, because you know, obviously some of them just have one, but this guy was meant to have two, so we gotta give him back two. It's not screwing in. Okay, now it is. Good. Seems a little short. It's weird. The wrong screw? Was this the old one? No, that was the old one, that's why. I used the new one, which is not meant for this particular stem. Hey, don't do that. Use the wrong screw. Okay. Let's use the original screw instead of the new one. Because on that, I will keep original, so that way purists can shut up. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. I do respect y'all. I know why. I get it. keep them OG and working the way that they're supposed to. Originally designed for. It makes sense. These are not being made anymore, obviously, and keeping them as original as possible is definitely a good key feature for sure. But sometimes, you know, when some dude's charging you $50-$60 for this little thing, it's not worth it when you can go on Amazon for $10-15 and then buy it and then change out the stem. So that's what we did here. Couldn't have asked for better. Couldn't have asked for more. It's very exciting to me that this thing actually is going to have a full range of volume now too, with a volume knob that isn't a piece of shit. So that's great. As far as everything goes tonight, I'm pretty well happy. Oh shit, this one's bent. You know what? We're going to replace that one, I think. I didn't realize how bent this thing was. It's actually f***ing this thing up. Genuinely speaking, I don't even think I have to take it off of the box to fix that. I think I just need to take the antenna itself off, and then we're just going to use the new one like we did the other one. That's what we're going to do. Now you see that? See how bent that is? It's starting to mess with the angle. Like it's bending the stem out, which could have cracked the plastic, which is exactly the opposite of what I'm looking for here, because that's even harder to replace than any of the stuff I've done tonight. If you can figure out how to use a soldering iron, which is not rocket science, then you can certainly figure out how to do this stuff. Why do we sit so low if we're going to bend that downward like that? I don't like that. Whatever. Yeah, no, so, but if you can figure out how to use like a soldering iron, I mean, you're pretty much golden. I mean, there's nothing more to what I did tonight than checking some stuff and throwing on some leads. You know, I just realized I was working with that piece while she was still entirely hot. It was still connected to the power outlet. Don't do that. It's dangerous in a general sense, so don't do that. Okay. I do have some new potentiometers coming in for this chip, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably do a video on that at some point. We do have some weird looking traces right here. I don't know if you see that white and it could very well just be like a glue or something, but we'll check that trace. Yeah, no, this thing looks fine otherwise though. I mean, again, this is loose now from me taking apart this potentiometer. We now know that the balance potentiometer was not the issue, and more than likely neither was the oil-filled headphone potentiometer. And you can see that it's oil-filled, it's starting to drip. You see how thick that oil is right there. And what that essentially does is it slows it down, it gives it that nice like gradient. But eventually those seals go bad, and that's what's happening here, so not a really big deal. I'm not gonna fix that part of it, but if I can fix that potentiometer circuit there, then we'll have a second one in case this one does decide to take a shit. In another video, we're gonna reopen this thing up and install Bluetooth. But for tonight, that's all she wrote. Now I'm just gonna listen to some tunes at the correct volume until I put in that Bluetooth module. So let me just plug this baby back in. We're gonna seal it up gently. Gently. I said gently. Anyway, gently set this back where it's supposed to be, which is where we are at. I didn't like the sound that the front of that board just made while I pushed that down, but that's okay. But we're still a couple screws sitting in here, so I think this is one of them. Yep, feels like it. Okay, where did this screw go? Alright, so figured out the last screw was inside the box. I don't even know how it fell in there. I don't want to know how. But I heard it rattling around when I put everything back together. Here she is now, though, put back together, put on the shelf, cranking loud music. Both channels sound exactly the same. 10 bands working intermittently. I'm not sure what that's all about. We still have no balance fader. I don't care about that. I just don't. Both the balances, as long as they're equal, that's the main thing I care about. So. And our visual EQ, even though she's kind of calm right now, she's working. So. It's exciting. I'm happy that it's doing its job. You can see actually it's bouncing right there. So I'll bring you a little bit closer so you can see. Yeah. Dun, 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 yeah. Looking good, man. Yeah, buddy. Look at that thing. She's a beaut. Thank you all so much for joining me. Fixing this beauty. We got that volume knob nice and tuned up. She's cranking as she should be. But we do have actually the bass boost mode that's functioning significantly better now, which is awesome. So I love this song. Anyway, so we're doing great here. More to come. More to come. We're gonna put that Bluetooth circuit in here, and she's gonna be a beast. And eventually, we'll work on that girl right there. That is the Dynasty Personal Disco Component. What a cool box. It's got a bunch of LEDs inside. We have a couple things we gotta replace on that. So be looking forward to that one. And I will see you guys in the next video.